Welcome to our Cirrus Systems video walkthrough for installing a Cirrus display. Our objective is to make your installation experience the smoothest install you've ever completed. We will cover unboxing, assembly, setup, and even where your display comes from and how it's made. This overview will provide you the necessary knowledge for an efficient and successful completion of your project. We hope that you'll come and visit us soon in Maine to take an even closer look at what makes Cirrus displays the best choice possible for you and the customers we are serving together. The process begins once your order is placed and confirmed. While our shipping department is preparing the display to be sent to your shop, our implementation specialist will be reaching out to train the end user on how to operate our award-winning cloud software called ScreenHub. ScreenHub is our content management system that will let your customers create, organize, and schedule content for their Cirrus display. As an added benefit, our customer service team will provide training and support for the life of the display, removing the burden of any software support from your end. When a screen is purchased, our team will create a suite of custom content with the end user and also includes a professional 7 to 10 second video from one of the market's best LED graphic designers. We will also train the end user on ScreenHub functionality, so they will feel confident to create, organize, and schedule content. We want that sign to sparkle when the switch is flipped. Our support team will also be reaching out to confirm essential installation requirements such as on-site conditions, electrical requirements, and other technical details. Preparing this information beforehand is critical to a successful install. Please note that we will be sending out a pre-install checklist that must be completed by you and the end user before you attempt to install the display. Before accepting delivery of your Cirrus display, inspect all packaging for damage. Once boxes are accepted from the freight company, there is no financial recourse if damage was done to the product in transit. It is the responsibility of the receiving party to deny the shipment in the event of damage being done to the screen. The display will arrive in Cirrus labeled boxes. The boxes contain 3 main parts: display modules, display frames, and a controller. The display modules are the LEDs that form the screen. The frames create the structure that holds everything together, and the controller is the media player or brain to deliver power and data to the display. Auxiliary parts include cables that connect the modules and controller, bolts to connect the frames, a camera to run Cirrus Sight, and a Cirrus plaque to be mounted on the sign. There are connectors and other parts included with your screen that may be required in the future to service the display, so be sure to keep them. Nothing should be discarded. Handling the electronics requires care and attention. Dropping panels or the controller, dragging them, or any other rough or inappropriate handling can result in damage that will affect the performance or lifespan of the display. Always hold panels by the rear heatsink shown here and never by the LED-covered portion of the module. The first step in the assembly of the screen is to remove the frames from their packaging. Locate the up arrow on the front of the frames. The up arrow side of the frames indicates the front and the side where the models will attach. Once you have oriented the frames, find the bolts that arrived with the shipment. You may begin bolting the frames together with a cordless drill and a 1/4-inch hex bit. Each frame connects to the corresponding frame of the next section with 4 bolts. Always connect all 4 bolts. This is necessary for the display to look its best. Do not skip any hex bolt locations and tighten with as much force as you can reasonably apply with the drill. You can connect the frames in any configuration you would like to meet the size requirements of your install. For this demonstration, we are assembling a 4-foot by 8-foot screen. Once the frames are completely assembled, they can be mounted to your sign structure or angle iron. The frames can be drilled into as shown to mount in the most convenient location. Cirrus frames must be connected to a mounting position every 4 vertical feet, and there must be a minimum of 2 mounting locations per display to maintain hurricane force wind loading strength. In this example, 1 bracket across the top and 1 across the bottom will suffice. For specific requirements for the size of screen you are installing, contact your Cirrus rep to confirm mounting requirements. Depending on aesthetic requirements, an installer may also add flashing or other covers to surround the outer edges of the frames. Maintaining open airflow at the top and bottom of the display is required. Cirrus does not allow the face of the display to be covered with an acrylic or other material. Note that when mounting the frames, they should be mounted on a flat surface or structure. Torquing the frames as they are mounted can bend the frames away from each other, causing gaps to appear in the display once it is fully assembled. For optimal results, assure your mounting structure is flat. Once the frame is mounted, it's time to add the display modules. Modules are inserted into the face of the frames on the side with the arrow. Guide pins in the mods line up with holes in the frame to ensure proper alignment. Once in place, a right and left knob on the back side of the modules can be accessed and turned to move the corresponding lock tabs into place. Locking both sides secures the modules for the life of the sign. If you feel strong resistance while twisting the knob, do not continue to over-twist, as you may permanently damage it. If you're feeling strong resistance, either you have already completely locked or unlocked the mechanism, or something is obstructing it. Check carefully before continuing. If you have any doubts and to get a feel, lock and unlock the mechanism before putting the modules in the frame. This will give you a clear understanding of how much force is required to lock and unlock. The locking mechanism can also be accessed from the front of the display with a 3mm Allen key provided by Cirrus. Inserting the key into each of the two holes on the face of the display allows the tool to engage with the locking mechanism. Turning the Allen key locks or unlocks the tabs in the same way with the knobs on the back side. This is helpful when the installer doesn't have a way to access the back of the display or when servicing the display in the future. With all the modules in place, it's time to wire the display together. Each display module has one in and one out connection, and each module ships with one power and data cable to connect it to its neighbors. The cables have two ends, and each end corresponds to the in or out connection, so it is not possible to wire it incorrectly or in a way that damages the screen. To connect a cable to a module, hold the module by the heatsink and press the cable into the corresponding connection until you hear the audible click of the cable locking. Do not push the cables into the module without holding the heatsink, as you may damage the module if you push with too much force. Modules can be connected in any order and pattern, as long as all the modules are connected in one chain. The last module on the chain requires no out cable, and therefore the last connection can be left exposed. It will not impact the water ingress protection of that module. For larger screens, you may need an additional circuit with a component called a power booster. The display size where an additional circuit is needed varies depending on voltage. Your quote sheet from Cirrus will have indicated the proper voltage requirements and will include the number of necessary power boosters. It would also be recommended to contact your Cirrus representative before install to make sure an additional circuit is not required. Information about this is also included in the pre-installed documentation. When you are finished, it should look something like this. Finally, we can connect our screen to the controller. The controller has two output ports that connect to the screen. Only one port is required for a single display. Due to the high number of double-sided screens we manufacture, we provide a second port as a convenience. The screen outputs have 3 power contacts visible and 5 data pins visible, just like the cables that connected the modules to each other. The loose cable from the first module can be connected to an extension cable and then to either output port on the controller. Next, the power plug can be connected to the controller. The other end of that power plug should be wired into your electrical circuit by a licensed electrician and should be done subject to all applicable laws and safety standards. Typically, the controller is mounted to the back side of the frames, in between both faces of a double-sided display or in some other inconspicuous location. All screens ship standard with cellular and Wi-Fi capabilities. For screens operated off of Wi-Fi or cellular, the antenna on the end of the controller should remain exposed. The controller is also equipped with an Ethernet connection for hardwired installations where cellular and Wi-Fi are not being used. Once power is connected to the controller, give the screen 45 seconds to start up. Make sure that the rocker switch on the side of the controller is in the on position to allow the modules to receive power. Keep in mind that hot swapping, or connecting and disconnecting any cables while power is connected and live, is prohibited. If a cable or module must be replaced or moved, cut power entirely to the display or use the rocker switch to turn off power to the modules before disconnecting and reconnecting any part of the screen. Failure to comply will lead to damage being done to your Cirrus display. The last step is screen configuration. This can be done by simply pressing and holding the button on the side of the controller briefly. Holding the button takes a scrambled screen and maps the modules to display images in the correct order. All the modules in the screen have embedded sensors that recognize each other's location and map themselves relative to all the other modules, leaving you with an instant screen setup at the push of a button. This controller technology is incredible. The controller will monitor and record voltage at the site, the health of the screen, and even send out automated messages to our support team if something is wrong. The indicator light on the side of the controller will tell you exactly what's going on with the display, or if anything requires your attention. Here is a key indicating what the lights mean. If your controller is lit up green, your Cirrus install is complete. Now that everything is operational and the Wi-Fi or cellular is active, the Screen Hub account set up for the end user will automatically connect to the display to allow them to remotely control the sign. Cirrus Sight can be enabled by mounting the provided camera on the side of the display facing the street, ideally within proximity of the site's parking lot entrance. Mounting the unit is straightforward and requires the use of the included screws. The camera connects to the controller wirelessly, so no configuration is required. All the installer must do is connect the included power connection to the camera. The camera will be remotely set up by a Cirrus technician. The technician has the ability to point and zoom the camera from Cirrus headquarters, so no need to worry about where the camera is initially pointed. The Cirrus Systems manufacturing line is arguably the most advanced in North America. Our state-of-the-art solid-state hardware requires cutting-edge manufacturing equipment and processes, and we are happy to walk you through the brand-new line. Printed circuit boards, the core of an LED display, start on the SMT line. They're run through a solder paste printer and SPI machines for ultimate accuracy, critical in creating a display that will last for years. Conveyors move the boards onto the pick-and-place machine that loads electronic components and LEDs onto the boards with accuracy down to the micron. Once the components have been loaded on, they are moving into the oven. This entire process is fully automatic for maximum accuracy and repeatability. With PCB assemblies completed, units are connected into housings and other mechanical elements with robotic screwdrivers. These screwdrivers are used at multiple stages in the process. Once the boards are screwed in, they are sealed with automated silicone dispensers. Additional robotics are used to replace hand soldering functions. Our goal in implementing robotics wherever possible is to deliver the highest quality product made in the USA at a globally competitive price point. Our engineering team is constantly at work innovating the next generation of display technology. Armed with development tools such as 3D printers, Cirrus is able to rapidly ideate, build, and test new concepts and products without leaving the Cirrus facility. Thank you for your decision to partner with Cirrus on your project. We hope this video was helpful in making your install a success. Feel free to reach out to your Cirrus representative should you have additional questions or need further assistance. You're welcome to visit the Cirrus facility anytime. Please contact your sales rep if you're interested in joining us for an on-site tour and education session or to see your display being made firsthand.